Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Christmas Palooza, a YouTube collaboration. Thank you to our host, Crafting with Indie Annie Jones. I am Teresa from Teresa's Spot for Art, where I love sharing art from my heart and teaching you how to create a little joy in your life through some fun, simple, and quick art projects. I'm going to turn you guys around, and we're going to paint the simplest, funnest Christmas tree ever. Ever! So let's get started. Okay, everyone. I have out my 11 by 14 palette. This tree looks great on a tall, narrow canvas, a 10 by 20 or 20 by 30. I'm using an 11 by 14 for two reasons. First, this is the size canvas I had. And second, it's very difficult to see when I go past 14 inches if I'm doing a 16 by 20. It's a little harder to see. So for this purposes of this video tutorial on this YouTube, I'm doing it on 11 by 14. But this tree would look really cool if it was on a narrow, taller canvas, okay? In the description is a link to the tracer and the supply list, and also a link to the playlist. So when you're done watching me, if you watch the rest of the playlist and like and subscribe to their pages as well, that would be great. I'm starting out with a 1-inch flat brush. I have here a few colors. The supply list calls for mint green. I didn't have any mint green. So I am using a combination of sea glass and I think crystal blue. And then I'm mixing a little bit of this paradise green into the corners to make the corners and the sides a little darker. You want your background to be messy. You want it to be fun and textured. And we're not going to worry about it. The background is not the focal point of our art. The tree is, and the background is the background. I'm making, and I don't know if you can tell, but I'm making these huge X's. I'm going diagonal, then I'm going diagonal, but I do them so quickly you may not notice, but that is what I'm doing. I need a little bit more of this crystal blue. And again, I'm going to move my brush. And I'm working the dark into the corners and the outside. And then I want to pick up a little bit of white, and I want to make where the tree is going to be, because our tree is going to be right in the middle. Our focal point will be our tree, and there's a tracer for that. Or you can freehand it. I'm going to show you how we freehand it. I don't freehand often. I don't draw. I paint. But you guys will see how easy it is to freehand this tree when I get to it. It's basically a triangle. And I'm going to continue painting in. I want the lightest part. That's a little sun glare from my window. I want the lightest part in my canvas to be in the middle, and then to work its way out as we get to the bottom and the outside. All right. I'm going to just wipe my brush off. I want my corners a little darker, and that was really blending. So I'm coming back in. I wiped my brush off. I'm coming back in. I'm picking up dark paint, and I'm just adding into the edges around where my tree is going to be and the outside edges of my canvas. You can paint the size of your canvas if you want. That's up to you. Sometimes I paint them the same. Sometimes I paint a design. Sometimes I leave them. Totally up to you. And I'm just going to fill in down here a little bit. Okay. And that's it. Messy, quick background. Lighter in the middle, darker to the outside. Now I'm just going to pick up a little bit of black. Not too much. I'm not even going to wash my brush. I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to pick up a little bit of black. And on the bottom of my canvas, I'm just going to draw in a little hill. And now I am going to wash my brush. Give it a nice rinse, and then give it a nice squeeze on my paper towel. And now I'm going to paint the bottom white. And it's okay if your green, your mint, your paradise, your black is still a little wet. We want that. Okay, that was a little too much. We don't want that much. So let me pick that up, wash my brush, dry it off, and go back to my white. Now, if that becomes too dark and an issue for me later, I will just add white when it dries. Easy enough. You want down here not to be, try to back that off again, not to be just plain white, little shading in here. Okay, and actually I think that worked out well. I can pick up a little bit of this paradise green and then shade that in here as well. Totally up to you. I'm using a very light touch now. I can pick up some more white. Basically, I can give me some paint and I'm happy. Okay, so there we go. So now I am going to wash my brush. Okay, now that my background is done, I'm going to come over here to my dark green. I'm going to get a little bit of paint on my brush. I'm going to start about here in the middle. And I'm going to bring down a line for my tree. Now I'm just going to draw in a triangle. I think that's pretty even. Okay, does not have to be perfect. It's a basic, simple triangle. You can use the tracer that I provided. It also has a bow. I've cut out this bow, and when my tree is dry, I'm going to trace this. I'm going to use this as a tracer and trace just around the bow, but we'll get to that. So now for this part, you can use this brush or you can switch to a round brush. And I'm going to start filling in my tree. So I want to make my top a little taller. And I'm going to work in sections. I want to flick outside the line. I'm going to flick in the middle. And I'm going to flick to the outside of the line. And I'm going to pick up green paint as I go. Little short strokes. Maybe an inch, maybe 2 inches. Make sure you have enough paint on your brush. And you want the edges to go over the triangle you drew. See? I told you this would be one of the simplest Christmas trees you ever did. And on a tall, narrow canvas, it looks even better. Obviously, as I get down, I need more paint because I have more coverage. But I'm just, every time I want my brush to be nice and neat, not all frayed out and looking something wonky like this. Nope. I want my brush to be nice and neat. I'm fixing it over here on my palette, and I'm coming back and I'm putting little short strokes, and I'm building my tree from the top to the bottom. Picking up more paint. When I get to the bottom, I'm again going to go over the line and pull down my strokes. We want our tree to look like a tree. We want it to have branches and pine needles all sticking out. And I'm just layering it. And because I'm layering it and I'm adding strokes as I go, some of my tree is darker and some of it is lighter because some of it is getting more than one coat as I apply more strokes. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit more green on here, and I want to fatten up my tree trunk. I'm going to come back and I'm going to bury the tree trunk behind the snow, but we're just going to leave that there for now. We want that to dry. Now I'm going to pick up some of this light green on my dirty brush. If you don't have light green, that's fine. If you want your tree to stay the way it is, that's fine. If you want to add a little bit of white to the green you were using, that's fine. I'm just making a little lighter green, and I'm just coming in here and I'm adding in a little bit different green. This is just adding in some texture and some character and a little dimension to our tree. I'm not putting it everywhere. You see, I only did a few. Tiny little bit. Okay. You can make your tree fatter now at this point. Just, sometimes even I don't know when to put my brush down. And I'm going to wash my brush. And I'm going to get my dryer. Okay. Now that my tree is all nice and dry, I'm going to get my liner brush and dry it off. I want to add a little bit of black to one side of my trunk here. Just a little bit right there, just to darken it up a little bit. And I'm going to wash my brush. And now I'm going to do the bow. Let me turn you guys around. This way I'm not leaning over. I'm going to pick a spot. I think that looks good. I want some of my tree to come out the top of the bow. You can use a tracer with graphite paper. You can do what I'm going to do. You can draw a bow by freehand. You can get a bow stencil. Whatever works for you, works for me, that's fine. You can trace this in pencil right now. I'm just going right to my white paint, and I'm just going to trace around my bow with the liner brush. If you had a paint pen, you could trace around your bow with a paint pen. If you wanted your bow bigger, you can make your bow bigger. If you wanted your bow smaller, you can make your bow smaller. I'm just walking my fingers around so my little piece of paper here stays down. This outline does not have to be perfect. We can fix it all up once we're done. Okay? So there is my bow. And I'm going to get my little round brush. I could paint this whole thing in with my liner brush if I wanted to. It's a little too small for it. So I'm going to just come over here and get this medium round brush that I have. And I'm just going to base coat in my entire bow with white. You may need 2 coats. We will see. Really, there are days where I could paint this and not need 2 coats, and then there are days I could paint it and do need 2 coats. You never know. Okay. I'm just coming in here and I'm filling in the whole bow. Now down here on the ends, I didn't do a very good job tracing, but if I take my brush and put the point down and go up, it works. I just want that to be a little bit more pointy. And again, if you keep trying to fix it and fix it and fix it, your bow is going to be to the ground. All right. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of black and make some gray over here. Very, very light gray. And I'm going to paint in the center of the bow for now. And then paint in the little shading area up here. It's almost like 2 sideways teardrops. that makes our bowl look 3D. Light gray. You want to make sure you have the white around the top. We're going to come back and we're going to add white to this. We're going to leave that for now. And then I just want to fix that little tail from the back. Okay? But we're going to, and then my one side was way too long. Okay. We're going to leave that. I'm going to go back to the water. The next thing we're going to do, and you can use a paintbrush for this. I have this out, this little dauber. It's probably about, it's not quite a half inch. It's bigger than a quarter inch. So maybe 3/8 dauber. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do with it. I'm going to put it in my red here. And I'm going to just give a little twirl. Okay. Then I'm going to come over here. I'm going to pick up some of that dark green and give a little twirl. That dark green is now going to add some shade to our ornaments. And I'm just going to start coming in here and pouncing in these ornaments. And see how now they naturally on the bottom, because of that green, have a little bit of shade to them. I'm giving it a little bit of twist. And you could put as many of these or as few of these as you want. You can make your tree as full as you want to. Okay. Then you can use your little brush with the handle and add some smaller ornaments. You can add different shape ornaments. Up to you, your tree. I can go to a different brush, make sure it's nice and dry so I'm not spilling water everywhere, and use the back of that handle and make medium-sized ornaments. So whatever you want to do, if you wanted to make all yours large, you want to mix them up like I'm doing, you want your tree fuller, more sparse, totally up to you. But isn't this, like, I'm telling you, the cutest, simplest tree ever. I'm going to continue with my liner brush and my white, and I'm going to give all of these large ornaments a little apostrophe stroke on the top for a little highlight. I can go in and give a little highlight to all of the ornaments, even the little ones, by just putting a little tap of white in there. Maybe I will. We'll see. But for now, I'm just adding in highlight to the large ornaments. I'm going to go back to my larger brush I was using to begin with. I'm going to come down here, I'm going to pick up some white, and I want to set this back underneath. A little gray, a little bit of the green, a little bit of the white, coming in here messy. And I just set my trunk back a little bit on the bottom. Okay. Okay. I'm going to go back to my the round brush I was using before. So I'm going to go back to my bow now. This is the medium round. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to add in some nice fresh white. This bow needed 2 coats. And I'm just going to come in here and add in some nice fresh white. This is going to do 2 things. It's actually going to make our gray look darker because we're lightening up our white. And it's fixing our white so our bow really pops. Ooh, come up here a little bit, nice and neat. And then this one, nice and neat. I want to whiten up the inside here, but leave a little shadow so you can tell that it's the inside. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm just pulling in some nice fresh white and fixing our bow. Little individual strokes help it have a little bit of character and not just be all like solid white. Okay, I'm going to go back to my liner brush and we're going to start adding in a little bit of snow around our tree. So I'm going to use my liner brush and I'm just at the edges, a little bit of snow. If you want to wait for your all your ornaments to be dry, you can. This way you don't pick up any of the red and get some pink. Totally up to you. But I'm just coming in here, a little bit of snow to the edges, and then I'm going to randomly put more snow. I want my fibers together in an upward motion. So all my strokes are going up. And I'm just randomly adding in a little bit more snow highlights to the tree. And you want them random. You don't want to make a pattern. A little bit to the top. And there it is. How fun and simple. I'm going to do a little highlight here. How fun and simple was this? I said, if you want, you can do it with a tall canvas, a 10 by 20, a 20 by 30, totally up to you. And then last but not least, I'm going to get my liner brush and I'm going, let me get a little fresh white. And we're going to add some snow dots. The first place I'm going to add my dots is where I sprinkled a little paint that I didn't want on my palette, or on my canvas rather. And then now I'm going to come back. I usually get 2 to 3 dots of snow from one dip. You want these to be random. And I'm just putting them all around. And again, it's your art. If you want a blizzard, you can. If you just want a few, you can. Totally up to you. Then I'm going to show you something fun that I like to do with the edges sometimes. Okay. So here's the edge. I'm going to get my little brush. This is my little 1/2-inch brush. I like to do, on whimsy paintings like this, I like to do a real fun edge. So I'm going to get my dark green paint. Might need some more. And I'm going to put a line at the top and a line at the bottom. And then I'm just going to eyeball it and I'm going to put one in the middle. And get a little more paint. Then I want to put lines in the middle of each of those spaces. Then I'm going to put lines in the middle of each of those spaces. And I'm going to do that on all four sides. And wipe off my brush. I'm going to go to this lighter green. And now I'm going to put in 2 of these lighter green dashes, down the side of my painting. I'm just pushing my brush in the middle. And then you can go back and I can put a red dot. I can go back and put a red dot in each of these large paradise green squares. How cute is that? Let me show you another side. Okay, so now we'll flip to this side. I'm just going to go back. I'm not even washing my brush. I'm just going to go back. Well, let me wipe it off so I can get the green, the dark. Dark, dark, and then dark in the middle, and then dark in the middle there, and dark in the middle there. And that might be enough for this one. It's narrower, of course. And then I'm just going to get this crystal blue and do 2 little lines inside each space. Then I'm going to use the back of my brush and I'm going to put a dot inside each of the larger dark green squares. And I'm going to do that around the whole canvas. I'll show you guys. I'm not going to keep doing it now because I'm going to wind up putting my finger in it and making a mess. So let me turn you guys around. There we go. So look how cute that is. Look how cute the edges are. And then, is that not the cutest, easiest tree ever? You could put Merry Christmas on there, Happy Holidays, get a tracer, a stencil, whatever you want. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to hit the subscribe. Don't forget to watch the rest of the playlist so you can see what other awesome creators we have here. Thank you to Indiana Jones for hosting this awesome collab once again. And have a great day, everyone.